My family was a third generation baker. My grandpa, my dad, my brother, and myself. My brother was the artist in chocolate, in sugar, precision, and he have an incredible talent, even decoration. I was something else. Me was all about taste and flavor. That's why I choose to work in the restaurant to develop a different talent. From early on, I left my house. Something to prove, not to the world, but to my father. And at 21, I was lucky to work in Paris in the best restaurant in the world. Lucas Carton was the best experience of my lifetime. I had a feeling, a desire to be great. He never left. He still drives me to challenge myself, to be better than the day before.
So what was your childhood like around food?
Pretty much, I grew up around food. My parents, they have the third generation, of pastry chef, and my grandpa used to have a store. After my dad come to meet my mom, took over the store. My brother and I work in the store, and pretty much every holiday we all help. My sister, my brother, and me. We was just helping. And to the end, we become like a 14, 15, and we become developing a passion of doing what Dad was doing. But my brother was older than me, then he started pastry. My dad asked me to do catering because he said, at least you don't work together, you don't have to argue together. Yeah. And to the end, I did the catering, and I finally turned to pastry and catering at the same time.
And at what age did you just know that pastry was?
No, I started. I was one of the first one in France. There's a special program. I went to school, but school was not really my forte. And what I did, I did preschool. Before you're 16, you're 15, and I did a school. 3 weeks I went to work, and 1 week I went to school.
Okay.
And that's why I was able to be graduated at 17. Normally it's 18 because I did this CPA. It was a class before apprentice, and everything. And I think, you know, I always know what I want to do. I was very good with my hand, you know, and I always want to impress my family. Alors, that's why, you know, it's something that I have on me, and I'm very passionate, and even as this day, I love to work. Most people don't like to work. I don't work. I take pleasure.
Well said. That was beautiful. And then, so at 22, you said you got a Le Tour d'Argent. I have an interesting question for you. Have you ever sat back and thinking, like, because I'm 22 right now, I'm about to leave university, but I'm still so young, I'm almost a kid. Like, that's a lot of trust to hand keys to a 22-year-old and say, hey, like, at a 3-star Michelin restaurant, I mean, have you ever, like, have you sat back and reflected, like, as a 22, you're almost a kid, like, did that feel like the moment was too big ever?
It was not like that, you know. I think I was 21 when the first time I went to a 3-star. But you know, just they ask you to do a tasting.
Yeah.
Already when you do a tasting, you see the performance of the guy. Yeah. You know how good he is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about age anymore. It's about what he can produce, what he can bring to you, and when he can help to develop things together. Because when you work in the restaurant, you don't always, as a pastry chef, create things. You always have to work very closely with the chef. And every chef has very different influence. And I think they see my potential, and after it works out very well. When I went to Lucas Carton, it was the best experience. In the kitchen was very rough because nobody cares about pastry, and they call you like, why don't you go to make your cookies over there and give us a space, you know. But you know what, to the end of the day, pastry is very important. I believe that for me, a real restaurant is about 3 things. It's about the first things, when you call, how people will respond to you, very professional and everything. After, when you arrive, how they receive you. After, it's all about food and about service, and to the end, dessert. Because you know what? If you look at what passed at Daniel, you know, when I remember Chef Daniel was always mad because people used to say, incredible dessert. Al Pacino, great dessert. And he said, what about the food? I said, chef, I just say, don't worry, it's because it was the last impression. Yeah. They don't forget you.
Yeah. No, it really is true though, because that's the last thing people put in their mouths when they leave a restaurant.
And I think
it's so important.
You can have 16-course meal. You will remember the first one, maybe the middle and the last one.
You're not remembering the third or
no,
fourth.
Because you know what? Yeah. It's something about your mindset. Then the first one, or it blow your mind right away, or the last one, then it was really incredible, and that was it.
So, what was it like first? When you first moved to America, was that going to Le Bernardin?
Yes.
And how did you first come into contact with Chef Ripert?
First, I work at Le Cirque for a little while.
Okay.
Not too long, for 6 months.
That was before Danielle became Danielle, right?
And I work at Le Cirque, and I don't know, it was not really the kind of restaurant I was very into it. You know, and after that, I went to Le Bernardin. It was really like, for me, like a 4-star restaurant like in France. Nobody talk in the kitchen, very professional. It's all about procedure and everything, and I was very impressed. And I like it, you know, I stayed there for like 3-4 years. I opened Miami with Eric and Gilbert, you know, a brasserie locale. And after that, you know, Daniel asked me to open the place with him. It was a very big challenge because it was his first restaurant, and he was pressure every day. And I remember, you know, I used to come at 5 o'clock in the morning to make ice cream, and Daniel at 8 o'clock said, "That's it, half day?" I said, "Papa, there's no half day." I was there at 5 when everybody was sleeping. But you know, that's the hour of the baker. The baker starts very early, like over here. If people ask me, why you leave at 2 o'clock? Because at 4:30 I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, the baker hour, is very different. But, in the pastry, don't forget, we used to do at Daniel ice cream in the morning, production, after was a lunch, and after when it come 8 o'clock, the first rush, I go home, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I used to have 4 other guys, and there was 4 very good pastry chefs, and they are very well known now, and I'm very proud, and everything.
So on a typical day, how many of you are back there first thing in the morning?
The morning, I just have my assistant Maggie. That's it.
Okay.
I don't like people around me. First, I'm very fast, and I move very fast, more than people. That's even people think I'm a little bit heavy, but you know what? When I'm in the kitchen, I'm faster than anybody else, and that's why I don't like people around me. I think I can achieve much more when there's less people. The kitchen is very small, and I make everybody else come at 6:30. Then it's 4:30 to 6:30. I can produce all the breakfast items. I can produce all the pastry. By 7:30, 8, all the fresh pastry are made every day. And after that, I can start production, or I'm helping for prepare food, or I'm helping for soup, or and I do all the project. But after people start to come, and it's so tiny the kitchen, like you see today, then it's so hard to make it work.
You can't have too many people back there.
No, and less is more. You just need people efficient. You don't need body. You need people that know what to do.
I love, a long time ago, apprenticed under a French pastry chef for 4 years growing up from Brittany. So I helped them open up a bakery as well. And I loved, I would get there at 4:35 in the mornings, and those quiet, it was like 2 of us back there. And it's just, you work so efficient. I just loved the quietness of the mornings. No one's awake, it's quiet, it's dark out.
That's what I like. I start having everybody coming at the same time, and they was in my way. Yeah. And they slow in the morning. Most chefs, they're not morning chefs. You know what? They don't wake up after an hour.
Yeah.
I say, why not you get out of it and give me the space, wake up on your own.
Yeah.
I wake up, my day is 3:45. I take my coffee at 3:45, 4 o'clock. 4:30, I take another 2-3 cups of coffee. And 4:30, I take my shower, and 4:15, I take my shower. 4:30, I'm ready to roll, and that's it. The bottom line is, if people wake up and come to work, they need little time to unwind.
Yeah.
That's why I already have 45 minutes unwinding, having coffee before I start.
And how long have you, so after Daniel, so this isn't the first, so you were at restaurants for a while, but I know you started Payard Patisserie, right? And
the first things I did, I worked at Le Cirque for 6 months.
Okay.
After that, I went to Le Bernardin for 3 years. After that, I opened Daniel for 4 years, 4 years and a half, and I always tell Daniel, I'm going to open my place. And after Daniel was my partner, we opened Payard. And I opened Payard, was an instant success. I was very happy. It was very, very difficult because he was so busy and everything. And as a French guy, I never have a loan. I was so stressed, more than everybody can be stressed, because I have $3.5 million loan. It's for me, it's something I never see in my life. And I was stressed, and I cannot make it, That's why I push myself every day. I start morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, finish at 10, do the pastry in the morning, do the restaurant at night, do the dining room at night. But it was a great experience. And after that, I was lucky enough. I opened some place in Brazil. I opened 12 places in Brazil. I opened 5 places in Korea, in Japan 4 places. And after I opened Payard Las Vegas and everything. And it was very, very successful. But things happened for a reason. After I lost the lease, I lost the lease of Las Vegas and everything. It's always a new chapter in your life. And after that, I'm not sure if I decide to reopen a place. So for now, I'm very happy. I work for Philippe, and I have stress, a lot of stress, but I don't have the stress of paying people.
Yeah.
That's the biggest stress, paying the rent, paying people, and make sure you can meet the end of the month. That's the biggest stress.
So right now, is this the only? Do you still have any other projects open, or is this the only?
No, for now I just focus with Philippe. You know, I'm here.
Yeah.
I work 21 days for the holiday. You know, I cannot even have time to everybody say, when are you going home? I left my house in New York and my house in the Hampton September 1st. I'm here for like all this time, you know, because I cannot leave, you know, I cannot find people to replace me. Florida is hard to find people committed, you know.
Yeah. So, rewinding a little bit back to your childhood, who was your biggest influence?
I think the biggest influence was maybe my dad.
Okay.
My dad was very, very strict, and my dad was really one of the best pastry chefs. Most people respect my dad, you know, a lot because he was so tough. But tough with him, tough with me, tough with everybody. It's just the way he was, you know, he was very tough, very demanding, and that's what make my dad so special.
What was the greatest lesson he ever taught you?
The greatest lesson I will say maybe is be humble and doesn't go to your head and always leave room to improve. And I'm getting older, but you know what? I still have more juice than younger people, have more power because they have more determination. You know, in the kitchen, you can see everybody look at me. Because you know what? For me, I don't really work when I'm in the kitchen. I do what I love to do. And sometimes I know people will say that I work too hard and everything, but you know what? I take pleasure of it.
If you love what you do, it doesn't.
And you know what? I know when I don't do a good job, and you know, I see like the Christmas cake. You know, everybody cuts the cake and they show the layer of the cake. And I say that's a good job, and people will see that I don't do just a photo on Instagram. I don't really care about Instagram really. You know, I do to promote the place, to promote the things, but I don't spend all day just to make one cake. I'm running a business. A business is I have to make living and pay all these employees over here. And that's why sometimes I like people, they spend all day to make Instagram picture. I don't Photoshop. I just do, and I don't care, and I leave. Yeah. And I make many mistakes in English. Everybody say, I can see that you do your own Instagram. It's 3 mistakes in one word. I say, that's me. I have 2 hands I can use. Grammar is not my thing.
I mean, you speak very well.
I get it, but you know what? My keyboard always change French to English. I have to find a way to set the keyboard.
I was just in Bologna, and so I was trying to learn Italian ahead of time. So I have my keyboard usually in Italian, and every time I'm not writing, it says every word's incorrect, and like it'll like miss if I dictate. You ever dictate with the wrong language?
Yeah.
And it botches it. If you were to distill down what you do to the basics, what would you say, if you could put into words, the basics of pastry that if you don't get right, nothing else matters?
You know, I just want to say that I'm like a few people, maybe like 10 people in the world, have a different talent than people.
Okay.
You know, you can see Pierre Hermé, you can see Laurent Tourandel, you can see Michael Mina, you can see Michel Richard, or few other people. I can bake as much as I can cook. You know, I cook as much as I can bake. The restaurant I have in Hampton, I win best restaurant in Hampton, I win best chef in Hampton. It's very few people can do both. The things, be a pastry chef, yes, I learned how to make chocolate, I learned how to pull sugar, I learned how to do so many things. And cooking for me is even more fun. I don't cook like a 4-star chef. I cook food the way I like to eat. And what's the way I like to eat is bistro food. Incredible food, full of flavor, simple, no shishi on the plate. I don't need to make a tweezer and everything. And by the way, some chefs with the tweezer, they make me laugh because my hands are so much more delicate than the tweezer. I can go 10 times faster. But I make food the way I like to eat. You know, like the gnocchi, you will see my videos. But my way is always thinking how I can go faster. Because in pastry, it's hard to make money, and you only can make money on volume. That's why when I make the cavatelli, I find a technique to use a drill. Everybody copy me.
Use a what?
A drill. In place to have the cavatelli machine, I use a drill. Now everybody copy. I mean, if somebody copy, it's a compliment.
Yeah. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
The gnocchi, I find a technique to make faster. And that's why I do. Because for me, it's always the idea to save time and make profit. Because cooking, you can make money on the booze, you can make money on alcohol and everything, but baking, how many croissants at $4 I need to pay the rent?
Yeah.
How many $4 I
Sell
need?
a lot of them. Yeah.
That's the problem. That's why when you don't work in the restaurant, you really work in bakery, you need to have really a big production.
How do you believe that food transfers emotion?
I think, I think food transfer emotion very well, because you know what? The only time a family come together is where? At dinner. I think sometime in America people forgot, but I was thinking, my parents teach me something. Dinner is very important, and you cannot live without asking to leave the table. I know in America sometimes people think like everything is okay, you go to your room, but you know what? I think the dinner is only like the 15 minutes or the 30 minutes you can exchange about your day.
And everyone has to be.
And everybody can talk about his day, what he did and everything. And it's kind of now put everything together, and I think dinner and food bring different emotion. I know when I cook, people, like last time I cooked for Philip, for Thanksgiving, I say you do the turkey and I do the gnocchi, and the gnocchi was like a fluffy gnocchi like you see like only in Italy.
Yeah.
Even my Italian chef, I tell him, your recipe sucks. I say, let me teach you about gnocchi. And he said, you is too fragile. I say, yes, what do you expect? I want a fluffy gnocchi. Yeah. I don't want a gnocchi too heavy. And to
you want
the
light
end,
pillows, yeah.
A light pillow, exactly. And that's why I think, food, Philip tried, it was a butter squash seed, brown butter and sage. Philip said, wow. And I think the idea was coming, from this restaurant in Rome. There was this lady, and she was very famous, and she made this agnolotti del pescatore. Okay. And it was incredible. I said, why not I do the gnocchi like the agnolotti? And that's what I did. It's sometimes you take an idea from someone and you tweak with another idea.
So what's different? What's special about this gnocchi of yours? What's different? What's different than his recipe?
His recipe put too much eggs,
okay,
make him heavy, and he put too much flour. But when you roll the dough, it's much easier. But I don't really care how you roll the dough. The bottom line, I care about the final result. Yeah. If it's more difficult, but the gnocchi are like a little, what do you call that, little sky, like a nuage. Nuage, I mean, it's like very airy and a fluffy pillow and everything. That's what people want. I don't care if it's more difficult to make it. The bottom line, people care about something incredible that they will put in their mouth.
Tell me the perfect meal for you.
The perfect meal, I'll be honest, I love fish, I love to go to Le Bernardin. I love meat, all my friends, they have a steakhouse, and it's not, and I love Italian food, it's not really a perfect meal. Now you ask me what be my last meal.
Hey, all right,
I will say maybe the best porterhouse in town. Okay. And I do a great porterhouse because my best friend owned T-Bar, and he showed me how to do the best porterhouse, and he's on the cast iron and everything. It's like sear a perfect crust and cooked to perfection, and the meat, with a perfect crust makes such a big difference. What makes a difference is a little bit more seasoning on the top. Don't be too light on seasoning to give this beautiful crust.
Chef, thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome anytime. My mom, she be happy. I learned well. When I opened Payard, I created a calendar for every month. And this every month was something special. January is Happy New Year with a King's Cake. February is Valentine. March is Passover. You know, April is Easter. May is Mother's Day. It was always a holiday. That's what we do in France. Venez là, venez là. C'est pas... Ouais, tout ici. Maintenant, j'ai tout fini. On a la place. Welcome to Florida.